Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Alexander Florzone. Today I have the Burst Pro Air from Roccat. This is their latest addition to their Burst line of mice, which is best known for its honeycomb design, its simple shape, and its mid-range placement in terms of its size and its price. Alright, so here I have a little unboxing clip. Roccat, as usual, has pretty decent packaging. They used to include replacement PTFE mouse feet for if you really used the mouse enough and they got worn out and they lost their nice frictionless surface. So that's too bad that they don't include those in this mouse, but not a total loss since I think they last a really long time anyways. Here I have a comparison between the original Burst Pro, the wired version, and the new Burst Pro Air, and as you can see they are pretty much exactly the same. We see a couple differences on the bottom. And then there's the cable here, 1.8 meters Phantom Flex, really nice braided cable, super light, about as good as it gets. And then that's pretty much all that's in the box. We have our cable, our mouse, and a little manual. Now this is the first wireless version of the Burst line of mice, and I think that they did a really great job of carrying over everything that was so great about the regular wired Burst Pro into the Burst Pro Air. And so I'm really excited to talk about some of the differences in this video, and so you guys can kind of understand a little bit better what's so great about this mouse. So as I may have said before, this mouse is actually the first one that I did review for Roccat way back like a year and a half ago. So it's cool to be looking at this one now since it's very, very similar. So I did rewatch my review actually of the wired version here, just to see what really popped out to me back then about it. And it's really holding up still in this mouse. One of the things that I liked best about it, I think, was just its really nice shape. It's really simple design, not too many buttons, but just the right amount of customizability, and it came in at a pretty decent price with its Pro features. Right now, it is $59.99 USD, so it's even cheaper than it was before for its Pro features, and you do pay a significant premium of a whole $40 to go up to the $99.99 USD price tag for the Air version. But the wireless Air version here does have a few improvements like 19K DPI in opposed to the original 16K. And so you are taking a small step up just generally across the board when you take on that wireless functionality. You even get some more RGB with 4 different light zones instead of just the 2 from the original. And that really shows, it makes it just a much more full look, just brighter, better. It's sort of like if you really liked the look of the Burst Pro, then the Burst Pro Air is sort of a completion of that aesthetic and that look. Super awesome looking with all its RGB, but when you just shut that all off, it gives you a nice flat but still sharp looking, professional looking mouse. So it's kind of a good mouse for like gaming professionals rather than professional gamers. And I really like that because then you get the best of both worlds. Some mice, you kinda, even if you shut off all the RGB, it still looks like an alien spaceship. Certain brands I know really like to do that. Razer. So I really like Roccat for that. They make really nice looking mice. Now I think might be a good time to look at the Burst Core though. The Burst Core is like the Burst Pro, that it's wired and it's very much like the Burst line in general. Same buttons, very similar functionality, but you kind of lose that RGB. I think it just lights up the scroll wheel, that's it. So it's a really simplified version of it. And you also drop down those specs massively, but not to anything amateur. Still an 8500 DPI and still some really great response time and nice gliding feet on the bottom, PTFE, and optical switches, optical sensor. It's not much of a step down if you're not a super hardcore gamer. And so I think it's important that we talk about that right now. If you are just looking for something cheap, kind of a best bang for your buck sort of thing, or if you're a budget gamer, I recommend you check out the Burst Core right now because that's it's a really good value mouse. It really blows a lot of other competitors out of the water, and you still get that really awesome experience. Across all of these mice, while they show a lot of different specs and small features that might give you an edge in the competition, the actual experience of using them on the day-to-day is going to be very similar. And they all run the same companion program on your PC. So Swarm is the companion program which runs with virtually all of Roccat's products. I think maybe all now. They were trying to switch over to a new program and overhaul it, but I think that maybe that just wasn't working out very well. And so they have kept on releasing software updates for their new products on the original Swarm. Swarm is just really a pleasure to use. It's a little bit complicated. I think maybe that's why they wanted to overhaul it, because it's just can be a little bit confusing, but I believe that that's just the reality, because we have how many different ways of customizing these mice, and that's a good thing. It's a little hard, a little intimidating when you're not used to having a mouse like this. I know that when I first unboxed the Burst Pro here and I plugged her in and I booted up Swarm, it was just like I didn't know what to do. I had never used a mouse of this caliber before, but it was not too hard to learn. And you have all your RGB in there, you have different assignings of buttons, you have your click speed, scroll speed, DPI presets, anything that you want to change, you can pretty much change. And so the customizability and just the user experience is seamless between products. It's pretty much the same. And so you're only really going to want to go for even the regular Pro here, never mind the Pro Air. You're only really going to want to go for something like that if you're a highly competitive gamer. And so that's the one thing that I would caution people about when looking at this mouse, is that the main things that you're paying so much more for are the wireless functionality, more RGB, I guess, and the increased like DPI and specs like that will give you that competitive edge. You don't want to be overpaying for something that you're not going to use. And so if you're a sort of simple gamer like myself, I would recommend checking out the Burst Core. However, this is still a really great mouse, and I would still absolutely recommend it. If you just have the money to spend and just want to go all out, you won't be disappointed with this one. It's a really great option. It really delivers in every way. The shape and feel is awesome. They're all the same shape and feel, and so we can pretty much just give one flat review of the shape in general. It's very nice. It works for most styles of grips. Claw is pretty good, and fingertip is pretty good. A wrap, a full palm grip, is a little bit tougher if you have a large hand like mine, but if you have sort of like more like average size hands, or even like a little bit small, all the grips are going to work really great for you. So I guess that pretty much wraps up all of the big specifics of these mice and how they are different from each other. The Burst Core, only $34.99. Okay, it's almost half the price of the Burst Pro here, which comes in at $59.99, and then the Burst Pro Air at $99.99. So you're making some really big jumps there. So I really encourage you to check out the Burst Core. The thing about cheap mice with these really mainstream brands like Roccat or even Razer, you're gonna get a way better price on an older model. And so I recommend that if you're on a budget, you check out the Burst Core, because that is like a couple of years old now, I want to say, and it's just a really solid value gaming mouse, and it's from a reputable brand, which I think will get you a lot of functionality and good user experience and a long-lasting product. And then if you're looking to go for something a little more expensive, a little more hardcore, check out the Burst Pro. Of course, it is still wired, and so if you're really set on getting that wireless functionality, then you will also get some other bonuses for that large $40 premium to get the wireless Burst Pro Air here, which is a great mouse nonetheless. I'm not trying to badmouth it here by telling you how expensive it is and how much cheaper these ones are and how great they are. It's not that the more expensive one is bad, it's that Roccat just does a really good job of making a simple, cheaper, sort of budget-friendly product as well. And when you start to go into the higher end of competitive equipment, you're getting a smaller and smaller increase in performance for a larger and larger price to manufacture. And so naturally, if you're going to go for the enthusiast grade stuff, you're going to be overpaying in a way, especially if you do not use those features.